Hello, Doctor Who fans. Hello, welcome to this news video. And it feels strange just to think that it's been 3 years already since Doctor Who has been a part of this whole Disney Plus deal, and we're now seeing reports within this week now seems to paint a picture that we could start seeing that relationship between Disney and the BBC, the relationship to have it, the Doctor Who deal between Disney Plus and the BBC and obviously Bad Wolf Studios, led by Russell T Davies, could be coming to an end potentially, because a new report has come out from Deadline, and it seems to be painting a pretty grim picture about what the fate be when it comes to streaming Doctor Who internationally going forward. So let's have a little bit of discussion here. So this is all basically from, like I said, Deadline were the first ones to report this. So essentially a big magazine covering movie and stuff. They're basically saying, in terms of the notes that they have, and obviously I'm reading this from the Doctor Who TV side because they've done a bit of a summary of this whole thing. They seem to note that Doctor Who was almost completely absent from Disney's recent upfront festivals, which Disney have had a festival recently, and for some reason, Doctor Who wasn't present. You'll find now you're probably going to be looking at that and thinking, wait a minute, why would Doctor Who be not there? Especially considering that Doctor Who was a big deal for Disney Plus when they announced the deal in 2023, 2022, in fact, into heading into 60th anniversary. But apparently no mentions of Doctor Who in recent Disney events. Apparently that's what's happening. And they say the lack of front and center placement may spin a yard about the series' position in Disney's priority lags nearly 3 years on from the deal being struck, which is very interesting that Disney promoting Doctor Who like they should. Which you sort of beg the question: what is the cause of all this? Well, they go on into the art, obviously from highlights from the Deadline article, carries on to say noise may not last beyond its initial 2 seasons. It already announced readily around the international TV circles. One source close to the production tells us that it feels its future is hanging in the balance already. Disney, the BBC, and the co-producers BBC Studios and Bad Wolf have all declined to comment to the art. Now that's a very telling picture right there. The fact that bad BBC Studios guys within Disney and BBC are not even commenting about this issue, which is very, very telling. Very telling. They're very, very quiet about what's going on. I don't know. It seems bizarre, doesn't it, for them to be very quiet when, especially if Disney are like not featuring Doctor Who in some way. You would think that Doctor Who would have an appearance at some of their recent festivals when they're talking about TV shows on Disney Plus. You would expect Doctor Who to be there, but the fact that they're not really does seem to raise concern to a lot of people. And in fact, they even acknowledged the whole rating issue for Series 14, where they say that an industry source mentioned that the ratings are a problem, but they are talking about they're like about young viewers, but they're still down from the specials and down from Jodie Whittaker's series. I imagine serious conversations are happening, and Disney want to see results. Yeah, that's the thing with Disney. When you have a system like Disney Plus, you want to see results. You want things to be successful for your streaming service, and that's how Disney rolls when it comes to any content they put out on Disney Plus. So of course there's going to be some serious conversations being had between them and the BBC and everything. In terms of the performance for the US, now this is where things get very interesting. They got a ratings analysis Parrot, apparently that's his name. Yeah, don't ask me why. But anyway, they say that they tell us that Doctor Who was the most in-demand UK original series with the US audience during an early release. Although it didn't have an estimable competition in this realm, obviously Bridgerton being very successful out there because obviously it's very, very popular, and also the Baby Reindeer as well. That's very popular there. It reached a high of 7th on Disney's list of most in-demand series, and Parrot added that trailing the likes of The Simpsons and the Star Wars shoot-offs. So it's basically in the same level Star Wars productions as the Simpsons. Basically, is around that level of success, pretty much. And considering its marketing budget, a sinister US rating source positions these figures as underwhelming, although they acknowledge that Doctor Who has had a long struggle attracting mainstream audiences in the US. Okay, but not steady, was a simple verdict from the BBC Insider about the internal view of its performance. So yeah, so there is some level of success with the US audience, but obviously there's still got a bit of way to go in order to be right at the top. Basically, is kind of what we're seeing in terms of Doctor Who's performance over there. But then, of course, they talk about the future part, about Disney deciding on the future, and this is what one source they say in this from this Deadline article that talks about this section. One of our sources close to the production believes the BBC need to make a decision on the future of its relationship. The show soon after the war between the land and the sea wraps, which obviously they're going to start filming in September, and obviously should be going out near the end, in the autumn next year. This could have a bearing on how long the in-demand Gatwa, who will lead the West End production of The Importance of Being Earnest at the end of this year, remains Doctor Who. Although the next season has wrapped, sources predict that the final episode has been left open-ended, with the possibility remaining that Gatwa could regenerate into his successor if he chooses to quit. Like, that is crazy to me. The fact that so essentially, if I'm getting this right, the finale for next year's series could have Ncuti regenerate. Is that what I'm hearing? Because if that's what could potentially happen within the next within the next year, then that is crazy to me. They have spent all this time filming season 2 with the acknowledgement that Ncuti Gatwa was going to hopefully stay on for season 3, right? And then to find out that one of the episodes, potentially the last episode of that season, has been left open-ended, but the possibility that they could force Ncuti Gatwa, should he decide to leave, to regenerate at the end of that season, which means that Ncuti Gatwa would have already had roughly 2 seasons as the 15th Doctor, even though many of us were hoping he was going to last longer. That's just crazy to me. That is crazy to me that they're that desperate to get him out. Like, if that's how I'm seeing, if this is what I'm reading, that they're trying to remove him out of the situation just so they can get someone that Disney like, or somebody that's in Disney's good books, then there's something messed up about that, because you should be giving people that are very talented the opportunity to get that role. But for them to be so eager for him to say yes, that's a messed up situation for Disney right there. If that's what they're really hoping for, then somebody needs to get fired at the BBC, not the BBC, but Disney, if they think that's acceptable to treat a actor, to sort of beg an actor to reconsider not staying on just so you can get somebody new in there. Like, come on. Like, what happened to the land of opportunity? Honestly, what happened to that? What happened to that standard when it came to like freedom of act? Clearly not there, isn't it? Gatwa's agent hasn't responded, and then of course Gatwa's agent hadn't responded to the press time, so God knows what Ncuti Gatwa was thinking right now. I'd like to be hopeful that he's going to remain. Because of all this nonsense, I'm now starting to fear that he's going to turn down season 3, but I hope he doesn't, because I feel like he's enjoyed himself, and I think if he's enjoyed himself, he should stay. I don't think he should be forced out because Disney are not happy with ratings. If they're not happy, then all they need to do is just make the scripts better. That's all you need to do. Like, you don't need you just need to be able to make. I mean, if Doctor Who's more of like, have the episodes out and have them out on streaming after they've been broadcast, like they've been traditionally have been before, why not just do that? Go back to that, and maybe it might please people. I don't know. I mean, some people thought it was questionable, them releasing it at midnight, bad move. I mean, if you need to go back to the way we had previously, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with it. As sources are split on the extent to which Disney will pull out will harm the show's future. Whilst it will no doubt be embarrassing, Doctor Who's mega budget increase is perhaps less noticeable on screen than first thought. One source has said that points that Disney's 10 point, like the Mandalorian, which is Yes, I know pronounce bunch of the pronunciation, but yeah, that's where Verily Sefer comes from in terms of productions on Disney. Yeah, they say that they believe that because that's far more expensive on screen and Doctor Who isn't, they feel like it. Another is saying it will be a disaster, given that Disney has spent all this money, and the question becomes what will the BBC do if they pull out? This source has said. So yeah, that is a big question right there. Like, what will the BBC do if Disney decides, yeah, we're out? How they're going to respond to this decision? It's going to be a very interesting conversation because they're the ones who accepted this deal, right? They're the one who said, okay, we're going to give Disney a chance. How's that going to play out for them? How is it going to play out when we find out they decide to pull out at any point during next year? They decide, yeah, we're going to pull out. Man, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary to think that this is what decision is coming up for Doctor Who, is the fact that will Disney remain Disney Plus remain a platform for Doctor Who internationally, or are we going to be forced to find another streaming part for Doctor Who in the international market? That's the big question right now. What do you reckon, guys? Do you reckon Disney Plus or Disney are going to remain with Doctor Who? Or are we going to be forced to find a new streaming partner within the next year? Because something's got to happen, right? Because if Shooting Gap was staying, they're going to need to find a partner. So what do? The hell do you do in a situation like this? Because, I mean, Shooting Gap surely he's got to stay, right? Surely they've got to, surely he has to stick around in order to do at least another few more series before he wraps up, right? Surely. So anyway, fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. Hopefully things will hopefully things will turn around at this point, but who knows? Nobody knows what the future holds right now for the world of Doctor Who. Yeah, I like to be hope that things will get better for the show, and hopefully things are going to remain good between Disney and the BBC, hopefully. On top of that, of course, there is also a new Golden Archive. This is also related to UNIT that's just roll out. It's going to be releasing later this year, and they've got a couple of 15th Doctor imports in there, as well as some very Doctor Who themed newspapers and articles looking at different events regarding the Yeti, and it's really clever book that is going to be rolling out later this year, which is basically stuff that the unit have kept. And they're finally showing us some of the articles they've collected regarding some things that are obviously related to realizing, okay, this is where the Doctor was previously, so you can keep track on all the different articles that talked about some of the events that the Doctor dealt with during his travels that UNIT tracked during their work with the Doctor, of course. So yeah, pretty cool indeed, and that'll be coming out later this year. And then on top of that, we've got the new Doctor Who magazine, which, by the way, the cover for this Doctor Who magazine is, of course, of Sutekh, played by Gabriel Wolf, who obviously is the voice of Sutekh the Destroyer. They're doing a whole interview with him in this magazine if you want to hear about how it feels for him record more lines for Sutekh in 2024, and to finally bring the character back for season 1. And also they're paying homage to the 4th Doctor for his 50th anniversary. They also sharing, obviously co-stars are going to share memories of William Russell, who passed away not too long ago. That's pretty much just some of the highlights, really. Yeah, just an opportunity to share some stories and highlights from the series if you want to reflect on some of the highlights of that series, of this past series, and just some Doctor Who magazine goodness on top of that. It's available right now for those who want to pick up the August issue of the magazine, paying homage to the recent return of Sutekh. But yeah, apart from that, that is pretty much it, really. And like I said, we still don't know what what's happening with Doctor Who for the it's going to get announced at San Diego Comic-Con, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. And then really, we're just chilling until next week when we get some more news from San Diego Comic-Con about first look at the Christmas special, and hopefully the War Between the Land and the Sea news will start dropping. Thanks so much. Catch you all pretty soon. See ya.